Welcome into the Steelers Now post-game show. I am Zachary Smith, joined by, I think, Alan Saunders. Alan, are you there? Maybe.
I'm here. Yes, I am.
There you are. There you are. What a grand entrance that was, leaving us on our toes there, Alan. I don't know how you're feeling. I don't know how the team's feeling
Much
right now.
like the Pittsburgh Steelers, I didn't show up at the start of the game.
There you go. I love that. That's a great way to put it. We'll dive into the game, obviously, a ton. Give people some time to get their comments / questions in here. Alan, when you have what takes place tonight on the field here, where do you even begin with this? Is this one of the, because you can't just burn the tape. That, like, I know I saw Derek Bell say that. I appreciate DB saying that. I know why he's saying that, but you gotta be able to pull something away from this game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mike Tomlin said in his interview with Steelers.com this morning before the game that, good management is preventing, I'm paraphrasing here, is preventing problems from happening. Adequate management is quickly identifying problems and correcting them. So I don't know what this is, but it was neither of those two things, right? Because the last time we talked here, we basically said, look, the Steelers offense was hard to evaluate because of the mistakes they made, because of the negativity that the offense itself introduced into the equation. It wasn't so much the dominance of the defense, it's just shooting itself in the foot. And while I think there was more, I mean, look, Greg Rousseau is better than every defensive player that Houston has in their front seven. I'm not disagreeing with that, but it was a lot more of the same stuff. I mean, there was one sack where there were so many Bills around Russell Wilson that it was hard for the statisticians behind me were like going back through the tape to try to figure out which one of them needed to get credit for the sack. Like that, it was just a total breakdown of one-on-one play. And like, there's a lot of, look, they're not going to give away this offense. They're not going to, I think Arthur Smith called the same play 5 times today. And that is something that he generally does a lot, but very specifically, they're going to be very vanilla in the preseason. I'm not so bothered by the team not scoring. I'm not so bothered by the offense not looking like some kind of juggernaut, but the mistakes that keep happening on offense, the physical mistakes and the mental mistakes, that's a problem that needs to be rectified, that needed to be rectified today, and it was not.
Before we dive into the specifics of this game, did you expect to see only 2 quarterbacks for the Steelers play the entirety of this one?
I thought we would see a lot of Justin Fields. I think if maybe. Thank you. Thank you to the Gateway Clipper for that. I think if maybe one of those quarterbacks had done anything positive, we would have seen Kyle Allen in there. But Mike Tomlin kept throwing Russell Wilson out there, kept giving him opportunities to do something he never did, kept throwing Justin Fields out there. I thought he looked a little bit better, but still possession down, brutal, putting the ball in danger, not what they were looking for. And so if Justin Fields, instead of losing 7 yards on a 4th and 2, gives the ball to, I think it was Aaron Shanklin, and he walks in for a touchdown, that might have been the last play of Justin Fields' night. In fact, Justin Fields said there was no predetermined plan about how long he was going to play. I think Mike Tomlin just kept giving his quarterbacks a chance to come out of this game with a good feeling, and they never took it.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I mean, at least not seeing Kyle Allen, like Plumlee, maybe not, especially in the second one. But does it change your mind based off that and based off the results or lack thereof from the offense about the amount of time we'll see the starters at all next week? Like, do you think it's going to be a thing where, like, man, we haven't seen what we needed to in these first 2. We got to see this offensive line more. We got to see these quarterbacks more. Or no, has your mind not changed on what their plan will be for week 3?
I don't think my mind changed, but my expectation was they were going to play a lot. Since they've gone to 3 preseason games, Mike Tomlin has ramped up a little bit 1, more 2, more 3. So my expectation is to see the starters for a half in the 3rd preseason game, not Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick, but most of the starters, Isaac Seumalo, most of the starters I think will play a half next week at Detroit, and that's been my expectation. I don't think it'll change. Maybe if they go out there and score 3 touchdowns, they'll take Russell Wilson out. But outside of that, I nothing tonight changed. And really, like, despite the fact that the offense has yet to look very good, I don't really think that should be super surprising. I mean, we talked all offseason about how much new there was to this offense. It is going to take time to get those pieces to come together. That was the sort of give and take of this schedule. Is like, yeah, it's backloaded, and that was a good thing because the Steelers are going to take time
Yeah.
to come together on offense. On the other hand, they cannot go out there and score 3 points week 1 in Atlanta and win the game. Like that, they need to score more than that. So I think they're going to need to be better. There's some urgency to be better because they need to stack wins early in the season. But it's not particularly surprising to me that an offense with a new coordinator, 2 new quarterbacks, 3 new offensive linemen, and a new wide receiver doesn't particularly look polished on August 17th.
Sure. And we'll get into these comments. We appreciate the people that are in here. First thing, though, Victory Asher with the best comment says hit the like button. Yeah, be sure to do that. Subscribe if you are not yet and hit that notification bell for sure. Alan, last thing that I wanted to bring up before we dive into the specifics here was the injuries that the Steelers came out of this game with, and if there was any clarity after talking to Mike Tomlin afterwards.
So I was actually not in Mike Tomlin's press conference. I was in the locker room. Chris
Oh,
Ward
yeah,
is still downstairs right now. Was talking to Tomlin and Russell Wilson and Nick Herbig, who had a fantastic game.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
if you want something positive
let's
to pull
not all
out of.
be doom and gloom. I thought the first team defense looked pretty solid without TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, and pretty minimal contributions from a number of other guys. I thought they looked awesome. So, I mean, you give up 9 points, your takeaway should be this defense is as advertised, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason that I brought that up, the one that I mean, Jalen Warren coming out with a hamstring injury, definitely something to monitor. Peyton Wilson, concussion, Anthony Averett, Tyler Medikevich. I mean, there's some bumps and bruises in there, obviously, but Jalen Warren, because of the hamstring, immediately doubtful and then rolled out for the game. That's definitely going to be something to monitor. But all right, let's get into this game now. I think that a lot of people, when I was looking at X and when I'm very briefly surfacing the comments here, first thing that people are bringing up is Broderick Jones' performance in this one.
Yeah, I mean, he struggled. There's no two ways around it. He continues to struggle. I thought he struggled last week, too. It's very obvious to me. Broderick and I talked at the Friday Night Lights practice. He said that it's really hard for him to do anything with that elbow brace on his right elbow. It certainly looks like it's bothering him. I mean, he looks worse than he looked last year, I would say, so far in the preseason. He declined to speak to reporters in the locker room after the game. He said he was going to see a trainer. So I don't think he's 100%. I think he's trying to get his way through it because medically cleared. But as long as the brace is on his right arm, I'm not sure he's going to particularly do well. And so, I mean, I don't know. I think left tackle, right tackle thing is very overblown. I've seen him play a lot of both. I don't think he's particularly better at either. This is a young guy that is kind of struggling in pass protection. And look, the only difference between left tackle and right tackle is his footwork. You look at that play by Greg Russo, his feet are in the right place. He dominated upper body. Like it wasn't the footwork that was the problem. He got to his spot. He just got his butt kicked when he got there. I do think part of this is tied to the injury. How much, it's hard to say. The Steelers better be crossing their fingers that he's able to take that brace off before the opener, though, because if this is what the situation is going to be going into the regular season, it could be not very pretty.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of people are saying. Quarterbacks, because of Broderick and really the way that the offensive line as a whole, I thought can be tough to evaluate how the quarterback performances in this one were.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think Russell Wilson was bad. I just didn't. I mean, like the 2 balls that were incomplete. One was a drop by Van Jefferson. The other, George Pickens. I still think he actually got his toes down on that one that Mike Tomlin challenged. We just didn't have, just for a preseason game, there's only a few cameras here. They didn't have an angle that showed it, but I think he did get his toes down. I don't think Russell Wilson was bad, but I mean, you see, the potential problems with this offense cropping up is that they don't have a lot of wide receivers that get easy separation. They have a short quarterback, and it's hard for him to see over the line. And their offensive line isn't doing that well. So, that's a bad combination. And Russ is not as fast as he used to be. So, I mean, 2 of those sacks, he had just no chance. I thought the one maybe he could have gotten out of, but, I didn't think he was the problem. He certainly didn't light the world on fire either, though.
Sure. It's funny you say about the wide receiver because as I'm scrolling the comments here, that was actually posted by somebody 8 minutes ago about the wide receivers not being able to get any separation in this one. That's something for me, I would say kind of hard to evaluate live. Like, there's a lot from this that I do not
From the
want to have to
TV
go back
angle,
and
it's
watch.
impossible.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
something when I go back and watch, I certainly expect to see is a lack of separation from the receivers. Something that I feel like we knew was an issue though. Like that's not something. How can you kind of have the room the way that it is now and then suddenly expect somebody to do something that we really haven't seen? I don't know.
Well, like I said, you're not firing your best bullets in a preseason game either.
Sure.
You're running very basic concepts. You're not doing anything to scheme someone open. And so I'm not I would like not throw the panic button on this offense right now. I don't think it's a disaster. I think you're not seeing a lot of what you're not seeing a lot of what I've been seeing at training camp out here in this preseason game in terms of the scheme that's being installed. You're seeing a very, very basic offense. And I don't think they've run the ball enough. They're probably trying to get a read on their quarterbacks, and that makes sense. But Najee Harris had 4 carries today in a game where Jalen Warren got hurt. Now,
Yeah.
maybe they just said 1 running back injury is enough. Go to the bench, Naj. But if Najee Harris has 4 carries in a game, the Steelers are losing 100% of those games. Or even look at the whole combined rushing total. Sorry, I got it here. I just didn't think there was enough of it. They ran 27 times, but 8 of those were Justin Fields scrambles. That's 15 carries one of them was Quez Watkins. 14 carries with a running back. If the Steelers have games with 14 carries with a running back, they will lose every single one of those games. I can guarantee it right now.
Right. Yeah, we don't expect to see that in the regular season. Question here from Miguel. Question for Alan. Who is the backup center now? Don't see McCollum taking Spencer Anderson's spot if Herbig starts the season on IR. Is it somebody not on the roster
Maybe
right
give
now?
old friend Mason Cole a call. He's still out there as a free agent. I think Spencer Anderson has been really good since they moved him to guard. I thought he was their best offensive lineman tonight. I don't want to move him back to center right now. I don't want to mess with that. I think he's been awesome. I think he's sort of playing his way into like a they can't cut me kind of place. And I mean, can he play center if there's an emergency? Absolutely. But if Herbig is going to start the season on the IR, I think they need to bring someone else in. And why not Mason Cole? I mean, he knows the.
Here would be the reason, Alan. Have you seen Mason Cole recently?
No, I haven't.
That's Mason Cole.
Oh, that looks like a guy who's done.
Has he pseudo-retired from the game?
That looks like a guy who's done. Okay. Maybe retracting my recommendation for Mason Cole. And good for Mason.
Someone tweeted that at Nick.
Good dude. Super stand-up pro even when he was struggling last year. Yeah, that certainly looks like a guy whose ship has sailed. So maybe not that. I don't know. Maybe they'll have to find a center on the waiver wire or something like that. Certainly there are guys out there this time of year. So
yeah. I wanted to get your perspective on that. Go ahead. There we go.
Mason McCormick also has been taking center reps, not in any team period, but as the sort of extra center because they have 4 quarterbacks and 3 centers. He's been the 4th guy snapping the ball all year for Plumlee. So maybe that's something they could explore.
I wanted to get your opinion on that Mason Cole thing, and I'm interested. Like the fact that you said that makes me feel better about thinking the same because that was my original thought. But then I started thinking, the way that offensive linemen can kind of put on and lose weight, but that seems abnormal to me for a guy that plans on coming back at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's in the cards.
Yeah. DB's in here. He said going live after that performance is very bold. Hey, listen. Steelers postgame. We got to do it. We're here to talk about what we saw. DB, I'll be interested to see your takes as well.
Bold? What, are people going to come through YouTube and attack us? Like, come on.
Yeah.
No
this is
I could get run over by a garbage truck. That's the most danger we're in.
Darren has a take here from the Steelers' second preseason game. Keep this in mind. This season is going to be the end of Con and Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this season would be the end of Con if they lost every single game by 3 touchdowns. And I'm sure that's not going to happen. Guys, Mike Tomlin is the head coach of this team as long as he wants to be. You need to get it through your heads.
Jace says anyone saying Fields is playing at second and third stringers, also keep in mind that he's having third string linemen blocking for him and receivers that can't get separation. He's playing with practice squad players at best.
He was in the fourth quarter. He was not when he first came into the game. He had the second team offensive line there with him, and he was playing against Buffalo's second team. And that drive in the third quarter was second teamers against Buffalo's second team. At the end of the game, he was playing against third teamers. And honestly, like, he should have been better than he was playing against third stringers. Like, you would think that he ran well, but he didn't throw all that well. 11 to 17, 92 yards, 78 passer rating. Like, that's not
that one play.
How many times did we watch on this field over the last 5 years Mason Rudolph come into the game in the fourth quarter against somebody's scrubs and look like Joe friggin' Montana? And, like, you did not see that from Justin Fields tonight.
The one completion to Dez Fitzpatrick on the sideline, though, I thought he was out of bounds. Like, I didn't even realize that was a dude that was on the field. I thought it was somebody on the sidelines for the Steelers that caught it. That's that stuff that he can pull out of his hat every once in a while, Justin Fields.
It was like one of those no, yes plays, where, like,
yeah.
I mean, that ball should have been intercepted. It went right through the defender's hands. I have no idea how it wasn't intercepted. I don't know. That's just who Justin Fields is. Like, he's going to be cavalier with the football. Sometimes it's going to work spectacularly well, and sometimes it's going to work spectacularly poorly. You just kind of have to live with it or die with it.
Julian's got the memo here. He said, "Great show. Thanks, Julian. Check is in the mail." Alan, what were some of your other takeaways from this game, just as a whole, that maybe somebody hasn't brought up yet in the comments and we've gotten to?
Thought the Steelers' first-team defense dominated the line of scrimmage. I thought guys like Mon Adams, Keanu Benton looked fantastic. Isaiah Loudermilk, I thought, had a really good game. We talked about Herbig. He was great. I thought the linebackers did well. Like, I don't know. The first-team defense really, obviously didn't get Josh Allen out here. That's disappointing after Buffalo said they were going to play him. We know who Mitch Trubisky is, and I don't think he's anybody's best. And I'm just going to go off on a total sidebar here, but I've been saying since the Senior Bowl that my guy Ray Davis was a stud.
Yeah.
And I believe that he just showed that he is a stud. He was incredible. That one Buffalo drive, he had 6 carries for 51 yards. They drew a horse collar tackle, and then they took him out of the game, and they gained no more yards and kicked a field goal. So, but Ray Davis is a real one. If you need some deep sleepers for your fantasy football team, throw some pocket change on 22 white and blue.
Yeah, I like James Cook too, but that's a good backfield in my opinion. I'm curious to see what the workload is going to be like.
Yeah, Ty Johnson barely played, and I know he's been dinged up. I don't know what's up with that, but they can run the ball.
Miguel also said about the Beanie Bishop thing. I know that I'm curious to see what comes of that, because we had no inclination that he was not going to be suited up tonight.
Yeah, maybe it was an injury and late in that practice session that we all missed, or something happened in the walkthrough yesterday. Didn't Calvin Austin hurt his foot in the walkthrough the day before preseason game 2 years ago? I'm pretty sure that's how that went down. It was a Liz Frank. But I saw Beanie. I talked to him briefly in the locker room. Nothing, on the record that I can share. But he doesn't look hurt. I'll say that. There's no sling, brace, wrap, tape.
Yeah, nothing. I just searched his name here as we're sitting here, and he said it's minor, and he expects to play next week.
Okay,
Beanie.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. As far as the other guys, they're being evaluated.
Thomas Graham, I thought did okay. Yeah. Tackling, not so great.
Should have had a pick.
Coverage, I thought was fine.
I thought he should have had a pick on. I don't remember who Trubisky, Trey McKitty, maybe a Trubisky completion to Trey McKitty. I thought Thomas Graham should have been able to at least make a play on the ball, if not for sure pick it off. But yeah, hit us. Hey, keep hitting us in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. Any questions that you might have coming out of this. Alan, was there any redeeming quality about the offensive side of the football in this one for you?
Najee Harris looked okay. They used the middle of the field. We did see that. Spencer Anderson. I thought Zach Frazier. There's a real one. Of all of the problems with the offensive line, I think very few of them were on the one rookie that was out there the most,
Yeah.
and that was Zach Frazier. I thought he had a pretty clean game, cleaned up the center quarterback exchange stuff from the week before as a team. Don't think they had. Did Fields drop one of them? But it's like a weird one, right? Like shotgun. I don't know. I thought Zach Frazier looked pretty good. If there's
There was
offensive
one
linemen that are
play.
feeling good about themselves right now, it's Frazier and Spencer Anderson. I thought they had the best game.
There was one play that was a tackle for loss where that this linebacker too for Buffalo that's going to play because of Milano getting hurt. This Joe Anderson,
he was great.
He was
man.
unbelievable in this game.
I never even heard of him before. He was awesome.
He had a tackle for loss where he just came like across Frazier. And not a great rep from him, but that was the only noticeable one that I saw, at least for myself. So Ben said Johnston is a stud. Yeah, Cam Johnston, the punter, getting some love in the comments.
Best player of the game, punter Cam Johnston. I'll tell you what, they need better gunners badly because he is kicking it very far, and their gunners are not getting very far, and they have big gaps between the punt and the gunner. I would be very concerned if I were Stanley Smith right now about his punt gunner situation. It's been not good through 2 games. I wonder where Miles Boykin is on the New York Giants depth chart right now. I wonder if that is if he's not going to make that 53, he may be our addition to the wide receiver room.
That's not very uninspiring from a wide receiver standpoint, from a special team standpoint.
He's a good blocker.
I get it. Yeah. Ben, it's funny. Ben's very next thing was any gunner observations with a question mark right after saying that Johnson is. Ben knows what he's talking about. He might be coming for my job here. He was in the first live that we did too. Yeah. Ben, okay, hold on. This is a question for Ben. I know that we're typically the ones that are fielding questions here, but I want Ben to let us know in the comments. Do you watch all the content here? Because I saw you in the first post-game live as well, but I don't know that I've seen you in like the afternoon drive or the morning rush stuff. So you all on the Steelers now train as a whole or just the post-game show? Just curious here. He said, would you take him over Des Fitzpatrick? Miles Boykin, that would be.
Yes, I would take Miles Boykin over Des Fitzpatrick.
Biz
had a pretty good game today.
Biz in agreement about the punts. Punts were insane. Good stuff to see. Ben said, oh yeah, I'm all over the map. Okay, good to know. I wanted to make sure you weren't just a post-game show guy. Keep those comments and questions coming in. Alan, anything else that stood out to you in this one on either side of the ball, special teams phase, whatever it might have been?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the play that Justin Fields had TJ Luther in the end zone. I saw that one going around the internet, and the pass was a little bit high, but Luther slowed down when he needed to speed up and kind of misjudged it. So I talked to him after the game, and he said that's the first ball that Justin Fields has ever thrown to him. And you think about it, this guy just got signed this week. He's been on the 3rd team. Fields doesn't play with the 3rd team very often, if ever. So that was the first live one from Fields to Luther. So ball coming out of the hand, just didn't track it very well. I don't think you can put that one on Justin. It wasn't the best pass in the world, but it was good enough to be a touchdown if Luther had adjusted to it in the air well. But that's the kind of thing you have happening when you're playing in a preseason game. You got a guy who was signed Tuesday, and that's the play that could have won your team the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because I don't know if people that are watching or listening to this are keeping up in real time about the injury stuff, but like I said, Beanie Bishop dealing with a minor injury, said Nate Herbig is getting a second opinion on that shoulder, and then just listed what the other injuries were: Warren with a hamstring, Peyton Wilson with a concussion, and Anthony Averett with a hamstring, but didn't say the severity, just that they're still being evaluated. Ben asked if you have any running back 4 takes.
What's up? P. Ryan was pretty good. That's actually I thought he was pretty good. I think Jonathan Ward was the best of that group, but he's out with that hamstring injury. I think you probably going to need to sign a running back for the Lions game at this point. I haven't been particularly inspired by Cordero Patterson running the ball. I don't know about you. I know he's coming off the hamstring, still not returning kicks, so maybe he's not like 100%. I don't know. It hasn't looked great to me. That's that orbit motion swing pass they ran to him today. That play was DOA. Like, put that one back on the shelf. I don't know. I don't think he's looked great out there. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't see the juice right now. I don't see the burst.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what if the top end speed obviously wouldn't be the same as when he was in his younger days, obviously either. But like the ability to even get started just doesn't look there right now. So I don't know, man. That's gonna be something to monitor too. Like, say he isn't ready to go, or that he is like sapped of that athleticism, and the whole reason they brought him in here was to be a kick returner. What do you pivot to? Like, if he's not going to be able to contribute in that phase.
I mean, I don't know. Jalen Warren was the guy I was pivoting to, and then now he's hurt too. Hamstring right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, definitely in question for week 1 at this point, I would think. So I don't know. John Rice Plumlee, man, he's been doing the job. I put him on the practice squad and call him up for the first week anyway. If Warren can't go, I mean, I think that honestly we're trending towards that being a possibility. But if they're keeping another back because Warren's down, I think I'd go P Ryan right now unless Ward can get back from his hamstring before the start of the season.
I'm curious about Darren here said Patterson gets cut and Edwards makes the team. Out of the running backs that we've talked about, that's the one that I really have a hard time seeing out of that group.
Edwards runs really hard. He doesn't seem to have the world's best plan all the time. I think he's a guy that would be really good to try to get to the practice squad and kind of give him a redshirt year and see if you have something there. I love what he does. He just runs really hard. He's hard to tackle. He fights for yards. He's big. He's strong. Just doesn't seem to have like great vision. Obviously, he doesn't have a lot of burst because he's a bigger guy. But like, I don't know. He's the guy I think they should try to keep around. But I kind of doubt he'll make the 53. Also, doesn't seem to be a great special teamer either. So that's kind of a tough stuff.
Before they brought in Ward and P Ryan and he was on the roster, I remember somebody telling me when they signed him as a UDFA, that it's around the team that I got a message from, and they were like, "We really like this guy in pass pro. Like that's what we think is kind of his calling card." So if they're able to improve on everything else, maybe they do stash him on the practice squad because they feel like there is something to work with there. Ben said, just remembered something I did like. There was a play where CA3 and Darnell were stacked out wide. Great way to combine those two skill sets to help disguise run pass.
Yeah, I called that. It's like take your kid to work day. Darnell out there, like carrying Calvin Austin under his arm out to the wide split. Set him down here. Come on, short stack. Let's go. Yeah, man, they got to, if they're going to use Calvin Austin as like a Z receiver or sometimes X receiver, they're going to have to get creative with the stacks and the splits and find ways to get him free releases because he's small. Like that's the only way it's going to happen. I thought he showed some real fearlessness on the punt return today, man. It was full send for him, and he was getting crushed out there. Like, and I thought they were good returns. Like I'm not being critical. Like it was. That's
the other part of the.
There was no half measures there from 19 today.
A lot of flags from the special teams as well. Like, I mean, that's something I feel like
pretty common in the preseason. You got a lot of guys who've either never done it or aren't going to be doing it or aren't very good at it out there. I would not be concerned about the sloppiness on special teams in a preseason game, especially when you have an entire new phase of the game being introduced. Buffalo had one too. They were lined up off sides. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Someone said Mark Robb as a gunner.
Mark I tell you what, you want a positive? I thought Mark had a very good game. I thought he tackled well. I thought he looked good on special teams. I thought that's the guy that last time I did my 53, like he was the one he was on there. He was probably player 53 on my 53-man roster projection the last time I did it. I didn't put anyone ahead of him, but if there was somebody I was going to take off, it probably would have been him. I thought he really did a nice job. Maybe move him up a half a notch. And Matakevich, keep an eye on that left ankle injury. I know Tomlin didn't bring him up, but he got that tape and then did not go back into the game. So something to monitor there as well.
That's what I was going through here looking at. I was like, I don't even see anything that he was brought up post game. I guess would be a good sign. If so,
sometimes
we'll see. Jolien said some of the designed runs were getting blown up tonight. I mean,
sometimes designed runs get blown up. I don't. That's not a problem as long as you have some that don't get blown up. Najee 4.3 yards a carry, Shamplin 3.8, P Ryan 3.3, Edwards 2 for 6 is not great, but I don't know. I thought they did okay. I thought they ran the ball all right. I don't think they ran the ball enough. I think that's obvious, but I think that was more just about they were trying to do the thing they weren't doing well until they did it well, and not worrying about the thing that they looked okay doing.
kind of hand in hand with the play of the offense. I mean, with the run game or lack of success on some of those. Matt Nerdy just said the offensive line play question mark. So I guess just as a whole, because I know that he said earlier in the comments here that he was listening to the game, not watching the game. So I guess he was just looking for how you felt about the offensive line play as a whole.
Poorly. That's what I'll go. They were not very good.
I wouldn't go back and watch it, Matt.
If you had to choose, Smitty, right now between going back and watching the entire of the Steelers' first half offense from this game, or a 5-minute loop, no, let's make it 10-minute loop of Russell Wilson's Subway commercials, what are you picking?
Well, here's the thing: is I will be watching that back, even though I'm not necessarily forced to. I feel like I wouldn't be doing I don't like when people talk about things that they don't know about. I feel like I wouldn't be doing my due diligence as a podcast host.
Okay, but if you could get out of it by watching 10 minutes of Russell Wilson commercials, would you?
Yes. So you know what? Actually, in the comments, let me know. Would you be okay with me being completely blind to what actually went on in this game if I sacrificed 10 minutes of watching Russell Wilson commercials on the loop? Facts Mob says, thanks, my guys. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Does Peyton have...
That's an afternoon drive, morning rush regular there.
Yeah. That's my guy. Fact, also, he has a question. Does Peyton have concussion issues going back? We know that the laundry list of injury issues, but concussion issues within there.
Well, not that I'm aware of, but colleges are frequently not very transparent about that. So I would say not that we know of. How about
that? Darren said O-line play is an indictment on the coaching staff and front office. All draft capital and scheme evolution has gone into that group, and it's a total disaster.
If you thought this offensive line was going to look good with two 23-year-olds in the preseason, I think you were smoking the hopium. Like they have the right guys, but they are going to take time to develop. It is not going to be just a flip the switch overnight. Look, they're better. They might start out worse. I still think they have the right pieces. It's a process.
Mm-hmm. No Troy Fautanu, obviously part of the equation tonight with him not out there. Obviously, every rep that he misses, it sucks. For lack of a better word, I would like to see him out there and continue to watch his growth. I really, Alan, think it's Broderick Jones here as the one that people are concerned about. And I get the elbow brace and everything like that. But I feel like if he had a good game tonight, people would probably look past everything else.
Yeah, probably. Especially because Frazier was pretty good. So, yeah, I think that's probably it. I don't think that I'm not super concerned about Broderick. I think he is going to struggle in pass protection sometimes. It's one of the reasons we talked a lot about whether left tackle was the right fit for him or not. But I think he's a great run blocker, and he's young, and he's strong, and he's quick, and his footwork's getting better. And now he's got to work on that punch and that hand placement, and it's really hard to do that with your arm like this.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you said, because I was going to say one thing that I saw in week 1, despite the struggles, and in this game, despite the struggles, I thought the feet were in the right place. I think the hand usage has been pretty awful, but to your point, is that brace really what is holding him back to the level that he looks like he did right now? And if so, honestly, like, in your opinion, should he even be out there, like with what he's able to do?
Yeah, as long as he's not hurting himself, he should be out there. I mean, I watched him right here on this field, pancake Von Miller, like 72 hours ago. So, like, it's not like he's incapable of playing well, but he's very clearly not able to do everything he would like to do.
Well, I guess the reason that I'm asking isn't necessarily about protection for himself, but the guy behind him. That's
why he has the brace on. It's because that injury can come back. It can happen again. And if you do it again, it keeps getting worse and worse. So, like, he's not hurt, but they have to have that brace on so that it doesn't reoccur.
No, I'm saying in terms of Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, the quarterback being hurt because of what he's playing like with this brace on.
No, you got to keep playing him. He's a first-round pick. He's a young guy. You need him. He needs the reps. Get him out there. No, can't worry about that.
John must have joined late. I don't know if you guys talked about it, but that overthrow by is this the one that you were talking about?
Yeah,
To
the Luther one. Yeah,
TJ
yeah,
Luther.
we covered it. Was not
Um,
it was overthrown, but it was made worse by young TJ.
Ben said 100% agree. Basically, expecting 2023 Steelers for the first half of the season. Really going to lean on the defense. Hopefully, we get out of it with no injuries.
Yeah, the injuries probably honestly more concerned about Jalen Warren getting hurt here than anything else that happened. I'll be perfectly honest. I think that's
Yeah,
probably
I
the biggest.
fully agree.
They could have scored 0 points and gained 0 yards, and I would feel better about this team if Jalen Warren was healthy than if they had scored 30 and he got hurt. Like that's the worst thing. One of the worst things that could happen here.
I had a couple people over at my place watching the game, and that's what I said immediately. Like, none of this obviously matters. Like, the result clearly doesn't matter, and the rest of what I see in this game, so be it. But if he's hurt, that's really what I'm going to come back to and take away from this game.
Yep, totally agree.
I like fact mobs calling Thomas Graham Tommy Graham. Is that I don't know that I've heard anybody else
He
call
goes
him
by
Tommy.
TG. TG is what he
Okay.
has to be called, although he is junior, I think, isn't he? So maybe he is Tommy. This isn't that like the way it usually works. Like the junior is not. You don't go by Thomas. My dad's Thomas. I don't know. TG. I thought it was all right. Coverage, pass, run, tackling.
He is a junior.
Yeah, I thought so.
Shot at the 53.
Somebody's got to play slot corner. I mean, I don't know. I don't see if Beanie Bishop's healthy. Yeah, right now, yeah. I'd be calling Shannon Sullivan tomorrow too.
Okay.
Just
I like that.
Here.
Yeah.
Just get him in here. I mean, even if he doesn't make the team, just get him in here. There's 3 or 4 defensive backs that I am sure are not making this team. I'd be giving somebody with a better shot at doing it right away.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think he was that bad last year. Like, I know people were kind of uninspired by the acquisition, but didn't hear his name a lot. Thought he was a good rundown nickel at the very least. Could probably do better in coverage than him, but I think he's a contributor.
Certainly can fill the gap. That's for sure. If you got to play him for 8 games till Cam Sutton gets back, it is not the worst thing in the world.
A couple more we'll get to here. Ben said, I love seeing Queen while he was out there flying around the field and showing up around the ball. That goes back to your point about the first team defense. And
first team defense was awesome. And even without some of its stars.
Yeah. So I know it's his choice, his protection, but I hate seeing Dion's wearing the Guardian cap just because it doesn't look right to me, even though it's probably some. Yeah, how many? He's the only one on. Is he only the only one? He's certainly the only one on offense that's wearing it. But I don't think any of the defensive guys have either.
Yeah, he's the only one. Yeah. I mean, I think it's in a preseason game. I don't understand why everyone isn't doing it, especially the linemen. I mean, the quarterback probably doesn't need to, but that's the thing. The
guys
about
that have collision every play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about those repeated collisions, not about like a headshot. The Guardian cap's not doing that much. If someone wants to like Ryan Clark you over the middle, like you're just like that 2 inches of pads doesn't matter, but it's the big guys butting heads every play. That's what that's able to help with.
Did you see anything from DeMarvin Leal tonight? Ben said also got to keep giving praise to Leal. He's continued to raise his stock at every opportunity.
Yeah, he's been limited by injury. I don't think he did that much tonight, but I think I'm still very, very impressed with him.
Yeah, certainly since the start of the spring, I would say really, and it's carried over the momentum for sure. Not even a bubble guy. Like he's firmly on.
No, he's on the roster. I saw them try Logan Lee at nose tackle.
Oh yeah,
with Fehoko
yeah,
out.
they did try.
I didn't think it went
try. Yeah. Again, going back to the point about having to kind of watch this over, I had friends over, wasn't paying all that much attention. That is something that I noticed was Logan Lee a nose tackle. So, and last thing that we'll get to here, anything Julian said, Fields has a lot of zip on his passes. Anything that you kind of saw? I mean, that's something that we knew that was how strong that arm was.
Yeah, he's got a great arm, and he's an electric athlete. It's just all mental processing, decision making, vision. That's the whole deal there. I thought he had fewer obvious negatives today than last week. Like, was he sacked? I don't think he was. Was he? Maybe once.
Yeah,
on the last drive.
I thought he was.
Yeah, the last drive he got sacked. Yeah, I thought he was. I thought he managed the pocket a little bit better today. thought he was more decisive about when to run and when to stay and throw. But, you know, I thought this was a pretty typical Justin Fields kind of game.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, well, that'll do. We've been going for 40 minutes already, Alan. Time flies when you're having fun, but obviously you're going to have a ton of things to write about this game, so we will get you out of here. Tell the people they can find you.
At @Saunders_PGH, PGH Steelers Now, SteelersNow.com. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that bell from notifications. And we'll get stuff from the locker room up here on the YouTube channel in a little bit. And then we'll see you back here Monday for morning rush and afternoon drive. And I think practice. I don't know. We don't even have a schedule yet.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was just saying, what do you mean you think? But that would be why you think. Yeah, we appreciate everybody for commenting. Be sure to like, subscribe if you are not, hit that notification bell, do all that good stuff for us. We appreciate each and every one of you that are a part of this journey with us. It's been a lot of fun to keep doing stuff like this. So find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH. Like Alan said, hit up SteelersNow.com for all your coverage, all your sights and sounds, all that good stuff. Until next time, Brown Saunders, Zachary Smith. We'll see you next time.